motherfucker! And you tossed your controller across the room.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Modular Components. It's another week. I am feeling weak, but I am still here. If you have not guessed by listening to the audio just yet, I am coming off of a cold. I'm a little bit congested, but I'm feeling good enough to be doing the show. And someone else who is the Buster Corp. Hello, sir.
Hello. Well, it's been a terrible day, but hey, we still up. I'm still vibing. I still got a pulse. I got my vanilla Coke. Let's go.
That's how this show works. Yeah. But welcoming someone new into the mix, or someone a little old for my history here on YouTube. Sid Part 2 is here.
Hi there, Sonny. How you doing? Sorry, I was just reflecting on my time in the Great War. Yes, the Great Console War of the PS3 and the Xbox 360.
See, I
Hi.
thought because I said you were old in my YouTube history. I thought you were going to talk about the Great Geekvolution War.
Oh no, we don't speak of those days.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Ian is the host and creator of Geeky Gentleman, a podcast series on his own channel, Sid Part 2. And I have appeared on a couple episodes of that, and I also used to do the monthly comic book roundup with Ian, which was a bit of a precursor to our own No Prize podcast that I do with Boingo Writer. But Ian and I haven't hung out in a long time, actually since
Sorry.
before the pandemic. So
Sorry, my bad.
hey, it's shit happens, man. Life happens. You got a house, you got a kid. Stuff happened. So, but now you're back, and we get to catch up and talk a little bit. So, how are you? How have things been?
I mean, really great, all things considered. It's been a weird summer. Had just got over COVID. Unfortunately, I'd managed so long without it, and then boom. And had just like a bit of a hard start to the summer. I lost a pet, but beyond that, in more day to day, longer term life, things have been going well. Doing well at work, getting paid more, spending money on things. I bought a Lego hat, and I've been making that just part of my daily fashion.
Yeah,
For the
I've
last
been
couple
seeing that on Twitter.
Went to the Super Pets movie today, and I made a Lego hat with Batman and Superman, Crypto and Ace. And then I was like, you
Nice.
know what? I'm gonna make a brick build of a Lego kangaroo and put Wonder Woman on it, because maybe I'll get lucky and Jumpo will make a cameo in this Super Pets movie. And here's my big hot take about the Super Pets movie. It's pretty good. It's pretty fun. I'm a little pissed that Jumpa's not in the movie.
Yeah, that was my whole thing with that movie. Is it just seemed like it was taking way too much creative liberty with the iconic lore of the Super Pets.
I know, right? I
Honestly, it just
realize I'm being the old like curmudgeon comic fan, but goddamn, I want to jump on screen so bad. So here we are. I look like a fool having Jumpa on my hat when she got a Wonder Pig instead. I'm like, ah.
Maybe it's a Justice League reference.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, it seems like it's the DCAU ref. Oh well. But yeah,
uh,
other than that, outside of that, life's been good. I don't really have a ton of complaints. Outside of very serious social economic issues, but personal
Yeah.
life's been good.
I mean, don't we all have I feel like the heat death of the universe will end, and we'll still have social economic issues.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's just kind of been the narrative of the last few years is nerd-wise, we're all eating real good. Any other way, let's just not talk about it, huh? Isn't that for the best?
Uh,
Yeah.
also, I just realized today was like the $3 movie day, which is
Yep,
probably
that's
why.
why we went.
Yeah, I didn't go anywhere because I didn't. There wasn't really any movies I really wanted to go see in theaters, and also I'm just was super tired. And maybe I should have gone. Might have made the day better, but what you gonna do?
I
Yeah.
probably should have. My mom has been wanting to see Maverick forever, and I'm kind of tempted to see it too.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
Good
I
things
just
about it.
I heard good things, but honestly, all of the good things just sound like the bare minimum, and everyone's to saying the bare minimum was a 10 out of 10, and I just don't get it.
I mean, movies have kind of fallen off a cliff lately, unless they're like big franchise sequels and stuff.
Just
So
gotta look. You just gotta
yeah.
look.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's kind of the thing is we were talking a little bit before the show started about movies. I really haven't had time in the last few years to watch anything current outside of like the stuff we do for the shows, like the Marvel, the Star Wars, uh, all the Toku shows. I keep up with that, but other than that, it's like I don't get to something until 2 or 3 years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I've been watching a lot lately. Like I watched the new Sandman series because I love Sandman. So that was fairly well done. I usually get annoyed with people who are like the book was better, but I legitimately had that. This I was like, yeah, I mean it was good, but the book was better.
Yeah,
um,
I haven't I haven't checked out Sandman yet myself, but I know a lot of people who are like, there's stuff in the comic that I just don't know how you do that in a TV show.
surprised by how much they kept because just certain things like just seem like they'd be very uncomfortable with like the way that especially like Twitter but just social media works where they don't want like challenging things like you got like you can show gay characters and stuff but if you show gay characters in like abusive relationships that's going to like rub people the wrong way cuz they're going to take it as like as some kind of commentary on how like the writer doesn't actually think gay people should exist or whatever. And I know Gaiman got some complaints about that. Like there's a character in the Sandman book that is trans and a essentially villain. The book doesn't necessarily have villains per se, but for the sake of argument, an essentially villain looks at them and says, "I am the goddess of the moon and all women, and you are not a woman," and it like kills them. And like a trans person got mad at Gaiman for having a negatively framed character say that about a trans person, and it's just like, what do you want? It's a character like you want the villain to be like nice. I don't understand. And so I was a bit surprised what they decided to keep for the adaptation for the first two stories because there's like a in 24-hour diner for example there is a lesbian character that is calling her girlfriend all episode because they just had a fight and she physically abused her in that fight and I was a bit surprised that did end up making the final cut. They backed off of it just a little bit but they kept the gist so I was surprised what they did decide to keep in Sandman
yeah,
in
well,
this
like
in this day and age.
the thing is, it's like it's more about the context and like well told story. If you could actually like, just it's less about like for me, it's less about like okay, yeah, but it's just is the like I don't think that was actively malicious from the writer, like,
Mhm.
but like it's just I'm gender fluid, so I like yeah
Mhm.
I have experience with this stuff. But it's just how do I describe this? Basically, it doesn't sound like Gaiman was being actively malicious, and like when he originally wrote that. So, and it's like maybe he did step a bit too much in the comic, which is why they stepped back. But I still need to read slash watch Sandman. Like it looks really good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's just a matter of this is how you tell good stories is you make complex and multi-dimensional and faceted characters where like
Yeah.
someone can be, part of group A, B, or C or whatever, but they can still be a person and do bad things. And that's, this is what moral complexity means that everything isn't painted with broad strokes of white hat, black hat kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes like really good series and stuff. Like, I love Game of Thrones, for example, and that's relevant again because of House of the Dragon. It's just like, yeah, you can have like characters that are really fascinating, like Jamie Lannister. Spoiler alert for Game of Thrones, I guess. Jamie Lannister is like, you're introduced to him and you think, oh, what a scumbag. He pushed a child out of a window, and then you spend like half a season with him like escaping from prison or escaping from being captured and making his way across the country and trying to get back to his family and stuff and the woman he loves that happens to be his sister and like all this stuff. And it's like you start to feel for the guy. And he is simultaneously a character you sympathize with who's done something terrible. And that's fundamentally interesting.
Yeah, and I think a part of it too is we as a culture just need to be more used to being challenged by our media and being able to take something that makes us feel uncomfortable and examine why that is, and maybe if that's part of the point of the thing we're watching or reading or listening to. Like I've been watching this anime Carol and Tuesday on my lunch breaks at work recently, and one of the main characters in that is like a child star who was a model and is trying to transition to being a singer, and um her mother is a trans woman who had a similar career when um she was a child star and ultimately didn't end up making it, and is clearly kind of living vicariously for their child. And it's a very like touch and go as to whether or not it's an actual like loving parental relationship or whether or not it's an abusive one. And at the beginning, when I figured out that because it's not made explicit until a couple episodes in, when I realized that the character was trans, I had a moment of like, oh, is this like a weird, are they trying to make a statement about trans people here? I don't know if I like this. And then as the story kept progressing, I had to realize like, no, it's just another layer to the story. That's not the whole point.
Yeah. Oh, we already got complex in the first 20 minutes.
Yep.
Well, that I guess that's just what happens when Ian's in town. Shit gets real.
I mean, it is funny to go from talking about fucking super pets and goddammit, Jump is not in the movie to, well, the morally complex character.
I mean, I remember back on the monthly comic book roundup, you used to do that to me all the time. I'd be like, I like this book because it made me feel really happy. And then you'd be like, I like this book because it's so complex and there's all this stuff going on. And I'd be like, okay.
Zach just got scolded with facts and logic.
Yeah. Sorry. It's that damn philosophy degree. I have to use it somewhere.
What you gonna do?
Yeah.
I didn't. I'm surprised. I never actually knew you were a philosophy major.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. I mean, all right. In all technicalities, so I should put the caveat out there. I am a general studies major. I was a philosophy major for 5 of my 6 years in college, which was way too long. And then I was like, all right, I just need to graduate. Can I do it? And they're like, well, technically, you should finish your philosophy degree, but you can't seem to get a language down, so we'll switch you over to general studies with a minor in philosophy. So there you go. There's Ian's college story.
See, that's interesting because I was always under the assumption you went to college for like computer graphics or something like that, considering how much of it you tended to do as a hobby.
No, I took a couple classes. That's where I learned 3D, which I've not done in damn near long enough. But yeah, I took some classes in 3D, but most of like the just editing, video editing and stuff, that's all just self-taught.
Okay.
So yep. That's
Yeah.
just something I like doing. I taught
See,
myself to edit for my movie, and I just found I quite enjoyed it.
yeah, I never would have guessed had you not name dropped it right there because I don't know, something about the way you speak seems so much more casual than someone like, say, Steve, who wears it on his sleeve that he's a philosophy major.
Well, like my thing is the thing that drove me crazy and still does to this day with a lot of philosophy is just some people write philosophy because they're very interested in trying to analyze the human experience and help find ways to improve the world and get people to understand things better. And then some people do philosophy because they know it's really hard and they want to show you how smart they are. So they write things that are just like nearly comprehensible.
Mhm.
And sometimes they're making really interesting in that way, but they're also just fucking assholes trying to prove how much smarter they are than you. So like Heidegger is probably my favorite person to go to because fuck him, he was a Nazi literally anyway. So I can make fun of him without much repercussions because if you end up defending Heidegger, you're doing something wrong. But like he has this sentence in one of his books where like I remember reading it and I just like picked the book up, closed it because there was a picture of his face on the front, and I started punching his face over this sentence, and it was, "We leap off from a leaping off area into the unknowns of being, and capital B being, small b being, capital B." And I was just like,
Wow.
what the fuck are you trying to say?
And I think shit like that is why a lot of people like me don't necessarily dive too deep into philosophy because it seems so intimidating and stuffy to a lot of us.
And a lot of it is intended to be. A lot of it is just very like gatekeeping behavior and stuff, and it's just I always find it very frustrating. And like it's more of a modern, I guess, idea that things should be available to the masses. A lot of philosophers in the past and throughout the entire like history of it have not been a fan of like the masses becoming aware. Like you've got your examples of like your Socrates and your Nietzsche who wanted to make things like very direct. Nietzsche would say stuff like, I want to say in a paragraph what others say in a book. Because Nietzsche was always just like, get to the fucking point, just move on. And Socrates was more or less, depending on when you're reading him, because you're never actually reading Socrates, but that's beside the point, like more open to the general public. But then a lot of philosophy is just dominated by like your Voltaires who refer to the masses as das Rabble. And you just kind of get
Ops
the,
Rabble?
yeah, the rabble, the riffraff, basically. So you get the real sense of how much value he put into the masses. Karl Marx, not a huge fan of them. So just stuff like that. A lot of them don't really like the general public for one reason or another. And
Which is
they think they don't
also
deserve to be to understand philosophy.
Hmm. Which I also think is kind of fascinating because if you look at it in a sense, the modern idea of the video essay on YouTube is very much rooted in those sort of analytical philosophical papers that would only be like distributed at an academic level for a very long time
Mm-hmm.
until now, where basically any Joe Schmo can write a script and say, "Oh, I do analysis. I'm a smart person."
Yeah, and I think there's good things and there's bad things within that because the power of argument is anyone can make an argument, but a lot of arguments have, of course, what are called fallacies, which is it sounds good, but then you realize you break down the structure of it and you realize that you're not actually arguing against the idea itself, you're creating like things to get around the argument. So the most like famous fallacy is like the ad hominem, where you just attack the person, not the idea, or the straw man, where you just create like an outlandish, really weak version of someone's argument and say this is the argument, and then you argue against that. And I think you'll like when you kind of become aware of fallacies, you realize like a lot of the video essays kind of begin to quickly fall into those things. So there's like a danger in these ideas in this level of communication and argumentation becoming more generally accepted, because back in the day if someone used like fallacies or something, their stuff would get pretty harshly criticized and written off, and they wouldn't really be able to publish for long because academic circles didn't want fallacies and appeals to emotion essentially to rule the discussion. They wanted stuff to be more concise, more, academic, for a lack of a better word.
Well, like,
But now you
it-
get like video essays and stuff, and a lot of those, you know, by and large end up depending on fallacies, and unfortunately those get a lot of traction, and you kind of get what I notice at least is a lot of people will just like find the take and just run with the take. There's a great meme I saw. It's like, that's a great opinion. What YouTuber did you get it from?
yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that.
And there's also the fact of we're living in the age of don't read the comments. Like that's a prevailing attitude on YouTube. So like even if a bunch of people do say like, hey, your argument isn't working because of these valid reasons, you can just be ignored.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep,
and like,
that's absolutely
here's
part of
my thing. Unfortunately, a lot of YouTube, from from this my personal experience, there's a subsect of YouTube, and it's a very large subsect that loves to like thrive on rage.
Mm-hmm.
And like, sorry to get a teeny bit political, but a lot of these people who like thrive on rage usually have very bad ideals. uh, like, I don't want to get too far with it, but basically, it's
Just
like,
just call out Star Wars
yeah,
YouTube.
basically.
Just do it.
Oh
Just
It's not even
no!
Star Wars YouTube. It's just a general subsect. Like, I'm not gonna name names because I don't want to start any beef or arguments. Frankly, I don't want to give them attention. But if you've been on YouTube and you've seen like a long video essay in your recommendation feed and it looks bad, you know who I'm talking about. You know, and like, and I do just feel like unfortunately with the rise of the video essay, there is starting to become a quote unquote a distaste for the traditional review. And like, I consider myself like, I just use analysis because review doesn't, like, everyone doesn't like that word anymore, so I just use analysis because I feel like it's a good in between review and video essay. Like, where it's like, yeah, I'm going a bit deeper than like a recommendation review, but I'm not going as deep as a video essay. If that makes sense.
See, I've just never been interested in reviews because a review says to me, like, should I watch this or not? Whereas an analysis is, this is a thought this piece of media gave me, and I'm trying to expand upon that and develop it by looking deeper at this piece of media.
Yeah, I get ya. Although, like, I still think like there's good, like, I don't know, like the terms the analysis review video essay world of YouTube is constantly changing. It's the terms, what's popular, what's gonna be good in the algorithm. I guarantee you, the big reason long video essays are blowing up, algorithm shit. Like, the algorithm is favoring long
It's
videos.
undoubtedly that because the algorithm favors watch time right now.
Yeah. And and unfortunately, as someone whose like maximum video is like 30 minutes, like, and who, like, I have 1,000 subs, but I can't get the channel monetized yet because I don't have enough watch time because it just, my videos aren't long enough for that yet, and it's just I don't know. It just like the algorithm, the watch time
All
algorithm really
praise
frustrates
be
me.
to the algorithm.
Yeah, it's just it's a whole thing. I don't know. I feel like every like month we rant about YouTube, but hey, what you gonna do?
I mean, I think that's just the way it is. Just
Yeah.
no one's happy with YouTube. It's just there's not really realistic competition unless you want to make like fucking TikToks.
Yeah, I mean, TikTok it appeals to a different market, unfortunately. And I tried uploading to TikTok. I got some, but just I don't think I can monetize on TikTok. And also, that's just not a platform I prefer. Like, I'd rather, I don't know, just I guess people I don't know. TikTok just screams. It's just an evolution of Vine. It's not gonna replace YouTube, which is why I hate that YouTube is trying to like try these shorts to become like a TikTok. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, people told me once that like I should try shorts if I want to be seen better in the algorithm, and I'm like, the hell am I gonna do in shorts? I don't have anything that fits that format.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
I've been falling down a rabbit hole with shorts lately. There is something weird about the fact that like, you ever heard of the idea of like the paralysis of choice? Like I think
no.
everyone's done this where they've gone on Netflix or YouTube or whatever and they've started looking for something to watch,
Oh, yeah,
and you
yeah,
just
that.
spend like
Oh
hours
yeah, we know
scrolling.
this. We just don't know the term.
Yeah, yeah. But like, you just spend hours scrolling because you can't find anything that like jumps out at you as, oh yeah, I want to watch this now. Whereas like TikTok and the YouTube Shorts thing, just there's no choice in it. You just like click on one video, you watch it for a minute or whatever, then you just scroll up, and you can just find yourself doing that for hours. And it's the modern day equivalent of like channel surfing. So it's interesting the effect that has on you, because I've been doing that a lot lately. I did that this fucking morning actually, for like a good hour.
I
And
just rewatch Cat Icarus whenever I want to watch and be entertained.
yeah, I don't know. There's something weird it does to your brain. Fucking the one guy whose stuff I really like is it's either Al jokes or AI jokes. It's hard to tell with text on the internet, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's got pretty good like little comedic shorts. Fucking a couple of them just set me straight on my ass. But yeah, otherwise I don't know. It's weird what it does to your brain because I don't like it conceptually, but I've probably spent like a good I don't know
Yeah.
maybe 10 hours watching fucking
We all
YouTube
have that
shorts.
I feel like everyone has a hypocritical part of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
pushing YouTube Shorts pretty hard. One of the YouTubers I follow, both on YouTube and Twitter, is ADC Art Attack, and he's kind of like rage posting some inside baseball about how bigger channels are being pushed to do shorts, but like YouTube for years has pushed the longer format videos. Now they're trying to catch up with TikTok and get everyone to do shorts, but like there's no money in shorts in and of themselves because you have such a short there's no money in shorts in and of themselves because you have such a short amount of time to establish a connection with the audience, do a video that actually has a point to it, and like plug anything. And like it's already hard enough to get people to stay through a video when you start doing like the plugging the merch or follow me on this thing or support me on Patreon, whatever, in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
last
there's
minute of a
browser
video.
apps that allow you to skip that stuff now.
Yeah, like it's like, can you imagine trying to do it with like the fucking YouTube short format where you can't go over like a minute and a half?
Yeah. My thing is like if I have to plug stuff, I just make it like a visual. Like I just at the beginning, like I just have like a little sound effect visual. Here's the patrons. If you want, like I tried doing the voiceover thing, and it just like I don't want to re-record the voiceover every time, so I just find it easier to just put a little sound effect or sound bite.
I'm
But
always
here's the
been
patrons' names, and then
yeah.
like here's the actual subject. It's only like it lasts 5 seconds compared to like the 10 minutes of video I
Yeah.
usually do.
I've been impressed. If you want to talk about like the people that go above and beyond for that, there's a craft channel I follow called Studston Studios where he makes sculptures out of trash, which is just fascinating. And he does like Patreon shout out at the end, and like most of the time it's like, oh yeah, we'll do a Patreon shout out. It's usually like what you were saying, name on screen, or maybe they'll say the names and put them up on screen.
Yeah.
This dude does like a fucking auto-tuned like rap slash song out of everybody's name
Oh my god.
at the
Must be
end of
effort.
every video. He's got like a beat going to it, and
It's like
he
the
arranges
okay
the
rap.
yeah, exactly. That is the exact comparison. He's got a beat going to it. He like makes it all kind of not necessarily rhyme, but like flow. It's just goddamn impressive, honestly. It's
Yeah,
just
well, like a lot of us
impressive.
don't really have the time or just patience
Uh-huh.
for that, so it's just like
I
it's
mean, he's
really
a
cool that
craft YouTuber, right? So
I
he's
feel
got
like
nothing but time and patience.
I feel like you have to already be a big YouTuber to have the time to do stuff like that.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like the unfortunate part of YouTube. It's like the thing is everyone can do it, but a lot of the stuff people can do, you kind of need clout already, and it's just like it's just
The barrier
complicated.
to entry keeps getting higher with each passing
Mm-hmm.
year on YouTube, and
Yeah, it doesn't help
it's
with the
horrific.
rise of Mr. Beast likes. I think I'm just gonna make that term. You know what I mean? Like I did the challenge, Mabob. I did this. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, okay, cool for you. I like to do it, but oh, that cost money, and that you need
Mm-hmm.
actual supervision. You know? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't got that.
It's fucking crazy. One of the YouTubers I follow, like, so I've recently gotten pretty hard into like craft and maker, so like arts and stuff. One of them I follow is William Osmond, and he does a lot of like, engineering fucking craziness. He like bought a battle bot and shit, and he did like a 40-minute video that is probably the most like sympathetic, stress-inducing thing I've ever watched, where Mr. Beast asked him for a collab thing to like recreate Squid Game with like squibs that would pop on command and be like connected to an app for the contestants playing. And he gave him 2 weeks for what is just like fundamentally a really like crazy engineering endeavor where
Yeah,
like
that
he had
sounds
to,
like it would take a year to develop at least.
Yeah.
So it's just this fucking like, honestly, if you have like heart problems or stress issues, I cannot tell you to watch this video because it might be the most like suspenseful 40-minute YouTube video I've ever watched in my entire fucking life, with just all the shit that goes wrong for this guy.
It's also funny because I think that's something the Mythbusters would be doing if they were still on the air.
Oh, I swear to God, man, it was fucking crazy. It's like, all right, and the company that we reached out for the circuit boards just fucked up like 3 times over.
Yeah, there's this thing about it's just rushing, and I feel like the only way you could take time on YouTube is if you already have clout and Patreon support.
You'd think that,
Or if
but
you're
even
one of those
then-
people who's just known for making super long videos and only posting like every 6 months.
Yeah, but like
Mhm.
even so, like those people have the Patreon support. They have either like they have a job, they like or like they have other things to support them to like make this like grand masterpiece. Like your H Bomber guys are now Quentin reviews, and it's just like those are still really cool creators, and I still really respect them. But just I don't know, it's barrier of entry is just I don't know. That's a whole thing. If I and it's just like how do we? It just I don't know. It's
I do
complicated.
still feel like, though, that everyone does have a place in the market. Like, as much as a certain type of person tends to rise to the top of the YouTube trends page, there is still a place for people who make shorter videos, just saying, like, hey, I watched this thing and it was cool, like you, Buster.
Yeah.
And there's still clearly a place for people who make long podcasts just discussing a thing with friends, like Sid does, like we do here at Modular.
Yeah.
I think
I've
it's
just been having these like unfiltered thoughts for a while on just the current status on YouTube. Sorry if I just went like all over the place.
oh, no, you're
No, it's
fine.
all
I'm
good.
just saying, like, just because we're not getting the most views doesn't mean nobody's watching us.
Yeah, there is a and I'm like I wasn't even just complaining about myself. I was mostly complaining about just like I just want different. I want to see like new people rise up, and I'm like that's why I've been like actually going out of my way to find like newer review or just honestly I feel like the weirdest way I've like found new YouTubers, Twitter, which is kind of a bad sign of YouTube's algorithm if finding like small good new YouTubers is found on Twitter. That's
Yeah, I never get recommended any new channels. It's always like videos that I haven't watched from channels I'm already subscribed to.
Yeah, or just channels that are like they're already big, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool, and like the subject seems neat, but I'm trying to support the little guy more, and honestly,
Part of the problem is like no one talks about like the content coming from those smaller channels.
in the
There's like
same
this
way,
there's like this thing that is part of the algorithm that it feeds on getting bigger and talking about the big thing, and it's just very rare that the big thing can be like the thing that's hot or the thing
yeah,
that's from a
like
smaller creator. um so like fucking new Marvel movie drops or whatever, and let's say it's Thor, and all the big YouTube channels do like a Thor related video that week to try to coincide and ride the coattails of the trending moment or whatever. Which is why I'm like, I want to get back to doing this on my channel because I do think there needs to be more stuff focusing on just other shit from like smaller creators that isn't part of the cultural zeitgeist at that moment necessarily. I want to get back to doing fan film reviews on Geeky Gentleman. It's just not been as feasible lately, but that was
Yeah.
always fun to talk about. Like,
Oh man, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on Spider-Man Lotus.
Why did you make? I had the same thought, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not
I
gonna
don't
say
I
know.
knew it would make you freak out.
I don't know what's going on with that. Like,
Okay,
my
like,
buddy Alfie was just talking about it today, and I'm like,
long
I've
story.
just
We don't
not
have
got the
time to get
context
in.
for this.
Long story. We don't have time to get into it here.
Okay.
Basically, it turned out that the director and the lead actor were secret assholes.
Yeah,
Okay.
racist
All right.
assholes.
Fair. Yeah, I don't know. It might be fun to talk about for like the controversy, if nothing else. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I like one thing I don't like about, especially the way that reviews or like just discussion of things exists on YouTube and on the internet in general is you're encouraged to hate and rag on things, and that's
Oh,
what tends
yeah.
to drive the most clicks is like, you look at video essays and it's like why the MCU doesn't understand Hulk or fucking the new Dragon Ball Super chapter ruins Bardock, like just all the fucking things. And certainly you can have negative thoughts about a thing, but I just get exhausted with that, and I'm more interested to hear what people liked about a thing, what worked about a thing, than I am to hear people rag on it. So that's kind of the fun I have when we do the
Yeah.
fan film reviews. Is like, hey, here's this fucking thing that some fucking guys made in their basement, and it's actually kind of low key slaps, and I got respect for it. Or here's this thing this channel did that they don't really do a lot of, but I kind of want to see them do more of this because this is really hype and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I get more into talking about things when they're talking about the good in things than I do the bad. And there's still occasions where we've talked about bad stuff. I think the funniest example, if you don't mind me going down a little bit of a rabbit hole story, is I was like looking for just variety and not wanting to talk about just Batman fan films for a billion times.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, what's characters that you wouldn't think they'd get a fan project, but maybe they will. And I found fucking I like the second I found it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be brilliant. This is such a good use of the format and the character. This is a great like masterstroke of a move to do a King Kong audio drama as a fan project. Because then you don't have to worry about like the scale of being able to sell it. You don't have to film it in your backyard. You can just the audio, the sound effects. Oh, that's such a good idea. And it was literally, I think, the worst fan thing we ever watched, just like on an
Oh
objective
no.
level, where it was it was it read or it listened like an audiobook of like a level fanfic where literally the plot was the main character was a girl who really liked the Peter Jackson movie and got
What?
sucked into the DVD, and
So is it?
it was like 2 hours long that we listened to this thing, and like so we're sitting there and we're talking about it, and I'm just like, I feel so fucking bad because I can't be positive about this. This was just bad, but I don't want to like relish in that. I feel so fucking awful. I'm so sorry, but I guess I'll talk about it and I'll try to
Yeah.
give you like points of what you could do to improve your storytelling and stuff.
You
And
could
funny
not. You could not make this.
Yeah, well, like the funny thing is, the creator saw the review because I always go through and like find the original video and link back to my review for it because they have a right to see it. And the girl that wrote this was like so humble and just so like, yeah, no, I actually was really appreciated listening to this. Like this gave me a lot of really great honest feedback. So I was so amazed to hear someone talk about my thing for 2 hours, even if it was mostly negative. And I thought you guys were really reasonable with your critiques. And I've learned a lot since I made this. This was like years ago for me, but still, I really appreciated hearing it. So like that was really funny. But then there was another fan film, and you didn't want to start drama. I'll start drama because fuck this guy. By like a much more well-known fan film creator, Blinky 500. He's done just a ton of fan projects and stuff. And he did this one that was like it started off as a Johnny Bravo fan film, but then like surprise rug pull turned into a Rick and Morty fan film. And we genuinely liked a lot of it. We were talking about how this thing was really funny, but sometimes you do end up spending like more time collectively talking about what could have been done better. And we're talking about like some of the stunt work was kind of weak, but some of the camera movements could have just if you blocked it better, it wouldn't have like highlighted the weakness of the stunt work. And this dude just like I think the Twitter thread where he'd responded to me is still up. This dude just would not let it go and was like clearly angry with me for not reaching out beforehand to ask him about his film and ask how he did things and how I was just way too negative that I'd like even though I gave the film like a high score, I was mostly just negative and it's just fucking whiny bitch ass attitude.
Wow.
So it's just so funny to see I guess the different ranges of responses
See, I would almost
based on the
expect
scale
that
of the
more
channel.
so. With doing fan films, I would expect people to be more often butthurt than not because it's like something they worked really hard on and are really close to, and maybe it's like the first thing they made.
And we'd had like some people that like got angry. Blinky 500 was I think the worst of it. There's a guy that did a Godzilla fan film and he got like visibly pissed that we said any
Visibly
negative.
made a video response.
No, just like his comment was just so like blatantly like everything except fuck you.
Oh.
Like just so mad about what we had to say.
Oh,
But like by and large, I think most people are just happy to hear you talk about their thing. Like I think everyone knows that as a creator, sometimes just the fact that someone has actually watched the thing and now is taking time out of their day to discuss it, even if they have negatives to say, you are just kind of giddy. It just depends on like I guess it depends on are they relishing in the negatives or are they just kind of being honest with you? Because I had that with our DBDC thing that I do with my buddy Alfie from Geeks for Fun, where someone did a review of it and like was just like trying to act like they were above reviewing it and just all these fucking things are like, and I just kind of got to the end of it. I was like, man, kind of fuck that guy.
If you're above reviewing it, why are you reviewing it?
It was like Alfie had done an art commission for him. He's like, "Oh, I can't really pay you back at this second. Is there anything I could do?" He's like, "Well, you got a blog. Review this thing. Just be honest. If you don't have to like polish it up and pretend it's great." But then it's just like, there's the whole tone of it. It just like, especially as a essentially payment. Again, not expecting him to change his opinions or anything, but just the whole tone of it, the whole attitude of it just felt like, man, really? This was your thank you? Okay.
well, if I could pitch into my reviewing fan film story, I've really only reviewed like one fan film on my channel. I think this was like 2 years ago. This was like at the start because I've had a few channels before. This is my current one. Like I've had it for like 2 years. And this is the only. I don't know why I decided to do this. I still don't know why, but it's one of my most popular videos, so screw it. I decided to review a Power Rangers fan film called Power Rangers Unworthy. Now, a lot of people like this fan film. Cool for them. I praised what I liked about it, but man, a lot of it just kind of fell into some tropes I wasn't a fan of. And apparently the Unworthy guys noticed me and did like an Instagram story that's saying, "Oh, look at this," and I'm like, I don't know if they hate me or love me. I don't. Like it was like I don't know. Power Rangers fans scare me anyway, so I'm like, I don't want to find out. But this was like 2 years ago anyway, and I don't know. I hope them the best. I just like I don't know why I decided. I guess I just felt like I want to review something off YouTube. Let's look at stuff.
I almost never talk about fan films just because most of the tokusatsu ones either never get finished or turn out to be something that really wishes it wasn't tokusatsu.
Yeah, and I kind of made that the big thesis of the Unworthy video where I'm like, a lot of these fan films don't like being Power Rangers. They want to be like wannabe Dark Knight is what I'd best put it.
They wish Power Rangers was a Christopher Nolan film,
Yeah.
and it's like you don't like Power Rangers then.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I guess you like some of the ideas, but you don't like the fundamental. Yeah, the fundament. I always talk about the fundamentals, but like, yeah, the fundamentals.
Or like
Um,
with Power Slash Rangers, where it was very
ah,
clearly trying to be like a Scott Snyder film, and that
yeah. Well, then again, that was
that
supposed to be a parody. Apparently, I don't think it was a good parody because it wasn't really clear. It wasn't really
but they
that
said
funny.
that like months after it released, so I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
don't.
if I buy that anymore.
Oh God. I guess the other like quote unquote fan film I've covered recently was Energy Chasers, but that's more of an April Fool's hoax. There wasn't really much story to go off.
Mhm.
And even then, I mostly did it to just talk about the weirdness of Power Rangers adaptations over the years.
Can I recommend a fan films? Because you guys are kind of making me think of this.
Yeah,
With,
no,
when,
it's fine, it's fine. Like that's kind of
when
the big subject.
yeah, when you were talking about the Power Rangers thing, like they don't want to be Power Rangers. Like sometimes I really like when fan films do that, where it's like just when it's something that you could only do as a fan because the owners of this franchise would never let it get like this dark. Most of the time, it's like something lighthearted, and they make it really dark. Sometimes you get the vice versa, where you take something that's like really gritty and violent, and you make something cutesy out of it.
Yeah.
But like this is still one of my absolute favorite fan films, and this goes back quite a while now because it's I mean the whole premise is based off Smash Brothers Brawl, so that kind of puts you for the era for it. But it's called There Will Be Brawl, and it is just one of my favorite things where it turns all of the Smash Brothers Brawl characters into just this like gritty fucking like detective crime drama thing. And it's got Luigi's essentially the main character, and there's just this scene where like he and Peach are like fucking in a motel, like a seedy motel, and she rolls off of him and she's like, "You think I'm a whore?" And he goes, "It used to be so simple. Stump on the bad guy, get to the power up. When did it all get so fucking complicated?" I fucking love when shit does that.
I don't know if I love or hate this.
It's so funny. They made Kirby into Hannibal Lecter.
Right?
We'll get into Kirby now. Jesus Christ.
So good. I fucking love it. I adore. I don't know what it is. Just that like.
I am morbidly interested in a follow up based on Ultimate.
Oh, maybe I don't know. It was like forever ago because it's like 2008 and shit. So just, whew. But
Your canon just looks like your average male VTuber.
Yeah, that legit. That looks. I know. I think I know that guy.
Oh yeah, fucking there will be.
Okay, a
Brawl.
little bit. Ganon has drip.
It was a good time. I fucking love it. Like fucking they corner Waluigi who like betrayed them. He's like, "You fucking monster! We trusted you." He's like, "I've never been a proud man, Luigi." And I'm just like, "Yes, oh my fucking god, yes." Hey, look at that! If you Google "There Will Be Brawl," Geeky Gentleman thumbnail for it comes up in the first like 10 results. Go
Oh
me!
my god. How about that?
Maybe that's because of you, because you're on that Google account. Because sometimes that happens. Where
Maybe
like,
you're right. You're right. You
sorry
couldn't
to
just
break
let me
your
have it.
dreams.
You couldn't just let me have this. You had to
No,
fucking.
I'm getting it too. If I go to images, there's the thumbnail.
Oh,
Yes,
okay, never
go
mind.
me.
Well, what would happen if I would do that? What if I? Dang it! Never. I'm not gonna finish that thought. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, why does Sonic look like that? I don't like that.
Because he's like homeless, and like
What?
there's like this section of the town where it's just the refugees, the foreign scum. It's Sonic in a wheelchair, and he's like eating a chili dog out of the trash.
Is Snake in this film?
Yes, Snake is in the film. He's part of the migrant scum. It's I don't know, man. It is so fucking stupid, but I just love it. It's just It's just such a crazy. Like, I love when shit does this because
It feels like
Nintendo in a million years would never let this.
Oh yeah, it sounds insane.
Uh,
it feels like this would be a great drunk movie night.
yeah, no, it's a good time. I highly recommend it. Like, I think it all comes together in 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So it is definitely a commitment. But god damn, do I
We
fucking love
might we
this
might bring
thing.
back modular media commentaries for that.
It also like sort of takes me back to the days of Joker blogs and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I remember that was the one fan film I got really invested in back in the day. Me and thousands of other people.
Mm-hmm. Man, I
Right.
still haven't finished that. I'm still really disappointed by that one.
Yeah, that's
What
Mhm.
happened?
It's hard to say because they were always pretty like lax with updates and interactions with fans. It was something that I think just they weren't super comfortable with. But they just straight fell off the map for like years after releasing a couple episodes of their season two that they did like crowdfunding for. And then they like randomly, like I think it was maybe 4 or 5 years after their last upload, released the next part in that series. And then like had an apology video. Oh, sorry, we never got in contact. It's just so many things came up and da 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 da. And then after that, it's been another like 2 3 years since that upload. I'm beginning to think they just got hit with the cease and desist that like expired, and so they uploaded and then immediately got hit with another cease and desist.
which is bizarre to me because purportedly Nolan let them look at the script for Rises.
You know how fickle studios are, man. You
Yeah.
know how like quick that stuff changes because yeah, that's the thing is they got to look at the script for Rises, but they didn't finish production and releasing season two into like before Rises was out or before the hype from Rises had died down. So then you had the Snyder thing with the BVS and whatnot kicking off. So Warner Brothers might have just decided, no, we don't want to invite comparisons to a fucking fan.
Mhm.
So
And
we're
like
just
even
gonna tell
then,
them
I
to quit.
remember. Sorry to bring this franchise up because I kind of hate it, but like I remember was watching like a review of a Harry Potter fan film, and apparently
Mm-hmm.
that got hit with a cease and desist by Warner Brothers. Like
Mm-hmm.
on when they tried to like quote unquote kickstart funds for the film. Uh,
Yep.
yeah,
Studios get weird about the whole crowdfunding thing. Like that was
yeah.
Remember,
I understand
Star
it
Trek
to a point,
Axanar and
especially if it's a non-profit fan fate. Like I like crowdfunding just seems counterintuitive.
I was
I
Uh,
mean
gonna say, remember when Paramount put out like their guidelines for Star Trek fan films?
because of Axanar and like that's a weird situation because I remember when like the news broke about how uh Paramount was hitting on the Axanar production really hard and I was like, "Oh man, that's fucking bullshit. Fan film creators should be allowed to use this stuff." But then like you actually look into it, the dude crowdfunded and bought a studio, like a warehouse to turn into a studio and bought like camera equipment and started instead of directly producing the fan film right away, started producing independent like short films and stuff. And he said, "Well, it's in order to like pay people for their time and have other income coming into the studio." And he was like essentially using the Star Trek brand to jumpstart his own filmmaking career from like a strictly financial point of view. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of fucked up, but it's also still in like this weird legal gray area because like say I'm making a fan film and I want to crowdfund for it, and part of my crowdfunding budget is I want to buy a red epic to use on filming. I don't want to fucking rent one and have to deal with, maybe this goes on for longer and I'll have to like give it back middle production and then spend money on it again or what the fuck ever. I just want to buy one and own it so I can use it for this film. But then, like, okay, I use it for that film. I still have a red epic that I bought with crowdfunding money. Do I just not use it for any other movie again, or am I like legally speaking? Where do you land with something like that? You know?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is that is an interesting dilemma.
yeah. So I don't know. Crowdfunding fan films, I think, is more just like do you believe as a fan, and does the studio believe that this fan project is working in good faith and not just trying to essentially make a buck off of the IP?
Yeah, and it's all always so shaky that I never
Mhm.
feel comfortable putting any money down up front. I'm like, if the thing actually comes out and I have time to watch it and it's good, then I will give you some money. If I
Mhm.
have some money to give to you, you know, it's all incredibly conditional.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
thing was I honestly like speaking of like fan base where I think the money, or at least I'm more likely to trust it if it's not like a quote unquote fan, if it's inspired by like a thing like, you know, like you remember like when the whole Kickstarter video game boom was coming out, like you had your Shovel Knights, Ukulele, Bloodstain, Ritual of the Night, Mighty Number Nine for a negative example. They were all original IPs, but they were inspired by like they were like inspired by like Castlevania, Mega Man, like the NES, you know, or the Banjo Kazooie. Like they all had like inspiration and like creatives from those old games. So I was like, okay, that's a. I honestly I like that way more than just like it making like a quote unquote fan. Well, then again, that's a whole different. That's probably a whole different ballpark. But like, yeah.
Mhm.
I just I just prefer that. This is why like I feel like I'm more comfortable writing like quote unquote like original characters than like any other character, just pre-existing characters.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
isn't the Common Rider Dragon Knight guy working on a fan film for Halo that's not actually called, it doesn't actually have Halo
I have not heard of
iconography?
that. I've not heard of that. Like at that
Yeah.
point, if that point, you should just make like a sci-fi world. But like I get it, you know, you gotta. I don't I actually never heard of that. Maybe I
I
don't know.
think because I was following him on Twitter for a while, I think he was doing it in response to the show being so bad.
Yeah, that might be a thing. Oh no, I don't think it was the creator. I think that was an actor,
Yeah,
the main
Stephen
actor.
Ford.
Yeah, that was the main actor. Yeah, he's been doing a lot of little short films here and there, so they're fine. Not got nothing much to say.
Well,
Yeah,
That'd be
it'll
nice.
make our jobs easier.
I don't know. I'm in a weird place with it too for my fan project because I worked with my friend Geeks for Fun on Dragon Ball DC, which is it started off as a what if, but at this point it is just like a full on fan project that kind of defies like what exactly the medium is because it's got like elements of a drama and narrated story and audiobook and fucking bits of animation and art and
I
stuff.
like
So
I've been curious about these like what if videos that have been popping up in the anime community. I know a lot of people have been memeing on them, but they legit interest me. Of like, what do they just go? Are they just like a a fictional plot synopsis? Do they like have voice?
sometimes it depends on the what if or sometimes the like different elements of the community get like really particular about it. Like just talking about Dragon Ball, for example, fucking there are people who will say, "Oh, that what if?" That's at that point you're just doing a fanfic. I'm like, you're you're the one on part 27 of what if Goku won the first World Martial Arts tournament? What the fuck do you mean you're just doing a fanfic? You're doing a fanfic.
Yeah,
Like
actually,
it's
if you
just
could like link me some of your favorite examples, I'd love to look at them later. Like,
oh
just
yeah, sure.
I don't
I'll
know.
see if I can find a couple. I think it'll like mainly got a huge kickoff. Not started, but like got popularized with Moscow X, who does the voice of Goku
Oh
for
yeah,
Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
yeah. Here's the
He
thing about like the funny thing, like just a quick aside. I follow a lot about Dragon Ball Bridge, except actually watching the show.
That's okay. You're missing out. Um,
Yeah.
but like, so Moscow X did a series called "What If Raditz Turned Good?" That it's such a trope in Dragon Ball where the villain just joins the main cast, and so it was like, why the fuck not Goku's brother? And that kind of really just kicked off his channel real big and he started doing a ton of them. He's got playlists full of what if videos, each independent stories, and then like a lot of other people kind of recognized the success and went off for it, and now it's just kind of its own little world, really. But
Yeah.
like
I'm just
our
looking
side
at
of it,
these and I'm like, whoa.
yeah. Our side of it is Dragon Ball DC, which imagines the Saiyans put into the DC universe being swapped with the Kryptonians. So Planet Krypton's in the Dragon Ball universe, Planet Vegeta's in the DC universe, and kind of like what happens from there. And it's been a good fucking time. We get a lot of compliments on the series. It's been super fun making it, but yeah, it is kind of like, all right, we've got a Patreon, and fucking what exactly are we allowed to do with that money? At this point, it's legally dubious, but you know what? We're just small enough that we're not really worth anybody's time. So
Yeah.
hopefully, knock on wood, don't have to deal with that. But if anyone's a Dragon Ball fan and a fan of the DC universe, I would highly recommend the Geeks for Fun YouTube channel. Go ahead and check out Dragon Ball DC. If you're like, the story's pretty good, but the production quality is kind of rough in the beginning, it only gets better as it goes on. We really
As
put our
most
all.
YouTube endeavors do.
Yeah, we really put our all into it. We've got like a full voice cast at this point for all the characters. All the major characters have their own voice actor and stuff. We've done like 4 or 5 arcs at this point. Recently, we just finished the Bombshell saga. Vac knows what a huge fan of the Bombshells universe I was, and so it was real fun to get to play in that world and put the Caulifla and Kale characters from Dragon Ball Super into the Bombshells universe because they fit right in as a couple of big old gay lesbians. So that was a good time. I got to, create original versions of DC characters as Bombshell villains and stuff, and I really, really just had a great time with that. That series needs more love. So if you're liking anything I've said in the podcast, please go check out Bombshells. That entire story needs more love.
I've always meant to check out Dragon Ball DC. It's just one of those things where like I am not a Dragon Ball fan at all. So
And I
I've
think
always
that's the
said
thing
that.
that like would be the interesting thing to hear your opinion on with it, right? Because it's not just a Dragon Ball thing. It's Dragon Ball in the DC universe. So even if you're not a Dragon Ball fan, like let me put it this way. Hey Vac, wouldn't it be interesting if there was a DC universe without a Superman?
Yeah, we've had
There
that
you
a
go.
couple. So
Yeah, no, but like just the concept of straight up removing him and what is the impact that creates is like that's Alfie and I talk about this all the time because it's mostly Dragon Ball fans that watch the thing, but like we are legitimately 100% fans of both. And so it's the idea of like, just fundamentally the superhero, the one that created it all, is removed from his own universe. What does that do to the people? Like, what effect does that have on all the other characters without them even realizing it yet? And so it's just that's a whole fucking barrel of fun just in and of itself.
I understand why those those interpretations are popular. I just feel like they're getting a bit oversaturated. But that's not to describe the quality of the work. More like the way the Superman brand has been handled as of recent.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we get about 1,000,000,001 comments of like, "Oh, do the Injustice story," and I've fully come around to the idea that Injustice has done nothing except ruin DC's brand for like an entire generation.
Yeah, pretty much.
I liked the comic well enough, but just seeing the way that it is the only like consistent thing that an entire generation has grown up with at this point, I kind of think that it's kind of wrecked.
It doesn't help that
DC
it's
for a
not even
whole
that great of a
generation.
fighting game. Like, it's very clunky, in my opinion. Especially the first game. The first game's like one of the worst fighting games I've played from like a big budget studio. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's worse out there, but from like a big studio, this is kind of embarrassing. Injustice 2 is slightly better, but not slightly, it's way better. But it still has its own share of problems. At least there's color.
it's also interesting that you bring that up because I've not heard anyone say that before. But yeah, Injustice is kind of like the flashpoint, for lack of a better term, where DC kind of started going downhill in the last few years. I mean, there's been good stuff. There's stuff a lot of us can enjoy, but DC as a company has had a lot of like big scares in the last few years.
I should hope that
Mhm.
Warner Brothers is currently going through a scare, which is connected to
Mhm.
DC. So it's just
Yeah. And
Yeah,
and
no,
that's the thing,
it's
it's like you're
messy.
the only other big DC fan I know, Ian. It's like everybody else I know is a big Marvel fan and I'm a DC fan. So I've been wanting to get your thoughts. How are you faring in these trying times of the Ezra Millers and the David Zaslavs and whatnot?
Dude, I cannot imagine failing so hard to try to save $3 billion and then costing the company 20 billion in the process. Um, like
Right?
just I could never imagine waking up and knowing I lost $20 billion. Like I don't know what I would do. Like you
How's he not fired yet?
right?
like the board of directors. I feel like they should be like, bro, this guy's losing us money. Get him.
Mhm. Mhm. It's fucking rough. And then fucking Ezra Miller, Jesus Christ, whatever the fuck's going on with them. It's just a mess. Like I have no idea how you cancel Batgirl, but you plan to go ahead with the Flash while Ezra Miller is on like a personal vendetta against fucking Hawaii. um, I I don't know what their mental health state is right now, but it's clearly not like the level to sell a franchise to a general audience. And
What's crazy to
yeah,
me is apparently learning that Flashpoint might get canceled is what snapped them out of it.
mm, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like everything
It's
I've heard seems like at best just attempts to cover tracks and do public relations work. I'm just waiting for more like shit to drop about it.
Yeah,
Is
like I
kind of
feel
my
like
thing.
any minute now we're gonna get like another story being like I guess because
Mm,
right now they're trying to like clean up their act because Black Adam has to come out and not like save the studio, but it's like the only major motion picture they can release this year because they lost so
mhm,
much money. Like I'm kind of pissed because I was so excited for the Shazam sequel. Well, yeah, I mean I guess
mhm.
it is a Shazam adjacent film, but like it's not the same, man.
It's weird. I just saw the trailer for Shazam 2 today. I didn't pay any attention to the date because I'd forgotten about that detail.
I
I don't
don't think
know.
they had the
Did it get
date in the
pushed back?
trailer. Yeah, it
Hmm.
got like it was gonna come out in December, which is funny because the first film came out in April and was kind of a Christmas movie. But now it's pushed back to March because of the whole like we can't release any other films except Black Adam and this weird one-off film for like girls. I think I don't know.
Hmm.
I might
Fascinating.
yeah. It's just and apparently
That
The Rock
that is
has to
fucking.
basically The Rock has to like market the film because they don't even have a marketing budget, which is like I mean we probably won't know the difference because The Rock is he's got marketers.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
There's
I
this
mean, if he shills it like he does that damn tequila, they'll be fine.
yeah, I mean like he shilled it during The Rock just showed up in a Jeff Keighley video game conference and just basically to do a Rock Nintendo Direct in the middle of this already basically Nintendo Direct. It was one of the funniest moments of like the whole like E3 but not E3 this year. Um
Mm-hmm.
in like a morbid way. There's this like really funny image of like The Rock watching Black Adam on social media. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Yeah,
No.
it looks like he's in the fucking White House war room.
You also got the Geese Howard drip, and no, I'm not gonna like you got Geese Howard reference. Novak will recoil and cringe or something. I don't know.
Mm. I don't know.
Buster,
I'm
calm down.
interested in I'm interested in Black Adam. It looks like I just know that fucking The Rock's wanted to do that movie for like 10 years at this
Yeah,
point.
like I'm
Um
interested in it. It's just kind of a shame that all this other stuff was put like extra expectation on that film.
I am
yeah, no, that's
excited to
for sure.
watch Timothy Dalton put on the Dr. Fate helmet. Or no, Pierce Brosnan. I'm sorry, I got my James Bonds mixed up. I'm
Mhm.
excited to watch James Bond put on the Dr. Fate helmet and then a stunt actor do the rest of the acting for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, that Doctor Fate does look pretty cool, but then again, I have a
Mhm.
bias for masked characters, so.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. So that's interesting. I've ever since Leah's been born, I've super hard fallen off of comics. I've just not been able to really get much motivation to read. I've talked about this a lot with some other friends, but like I basically get maybe 2 to 3 hours a night. of free time, and between working and then coming home and taking care of a kid, it's just a bit exhausted and just never been in like the reading mood.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, valid. Like
Yeah, so
honestly,
I've
like
just fallen off of a lot of like
yeah.
I've not reading current anymore. I've got like a huge stack of trades that I haven't touched in months, unfortunately,
So
which is
what
kind
was
of
like the last big current thing you read?
I pretty much stopped reading current right before she was born. So like the last big thing that came out that like I read on release was Harleen, because I'd been really looking forward to that one for years.
Oh wow.
I kept up with the Wonder Woman book for a short while, but even then I fell off of that. So that had a couple cool arcs where like she was in Asgard, and another one where she was like bouncing around the multiverse and ended up on like Earth 63 where they're all women, and then the Wonder Man was the bad guy, and then she went to the fifth dimension and had to deal with Batmite and Mixel Spitlicks. That was fun.
Mm.
Uh so it really wasn't about the quality of anything. All the quality was great. It's just that like I just don't have the fucking time to do it. Like my day is like, okay, I could read it on my lunch break, but then I'm rushing through it in an hour and constantly not really paying attention to the story because I'm checking up on the clock to make sure I'm not, going to come back to work late. It's just, I don't know. I'll get back into current and stuff eventually. I just don't know when.
I can
But DC
sympathize
does,
with that.
yeah, DC does just seem to be fumbling a lot, not really knowing what direction to go with, because like 5G was clearly a thing they were putting a lot of effort and resources into, and then that got canned in the final hour, and they had to like reverse course, and which just again seems like a smaller scale version of what's happening with the movies, because they lost so many resources and so much goodwill that was being built up in the release of it. Like Yara Flor, the 5G future Wonder Woman, was a character who just like as the art was released for her and little bits of like that future Wonder Woman book was released with her, people really fucking liked that character, and she just had such a cool vibe, and everyone was future Wonder Woman book was released with her, people really fucking liked that character, and she just had such a cool vibe, and everyone was down for it. And then like they kind of pulled the plug on that whole universe, and DC was left like, all right, well, who wants to do the Yara Floor book now? And it's like, well, fucking no one, because you guys pulled the plug on the character. There's nothing you can really do with her now. She's just kind of stuck in this, alternate future limbo now without any real push. So I guess we'll just give it to Joelle Jones, and she'll write the most like whatever but most beautiful looking book of her career, where nothing can really be allowed to happen. So I mean, Yara Flor's book was kind of cool, but it ended early, and it was like mid origin, I think, when it ended. So what the fuck
Yeah, and
do you
it's
do?
it's
Now no one can
interesting to
like the
hear that
character because there's
perspective.
nothing to like.
Because I've heard a lot of people say they really like the stuff they've been doing with her since, where she's in modern times,
Mhm.
and she's like an offshoot of Themyscira. Is
Mhm.
she has her own tribe of Amazons, and
Yeah, that
it's
was the Joelle Jones book, from what I know. It's
yeah,
just
a lot of
that
people
like.
have told me they like that book, and I went and tried to read it. I tried to get into Wonder Woman in general because I remember you told me all the time about how interesting Wonder Woman was, and I've always been trying to like find a way to get into that character. And so I tried to during the recent event that they had,
Mhm.
because it was marketed as, hey, it's Wonder Woman's anniversary. We're doing an event. This is a way people can get into Wonder Woman. And I read it and I was just like, this is really confusing.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it was it's Joelle Jones. She's a really competent writer. I don't think she's written anything that's like blown me away, but she's an absolutely fantastic jaw dropping artist. So it was a decent book, but it's just when the characters put in such a limbo of like, well, now they just don't matter because the company doesn't want to push them. What the fuck do you do with that? It just kind of undercuts. It's like writing a fucking filler episode for an anime, you know? Like, how hard can you go when you're not allowed to rock the boat super hard?
Yeah.
Like, you can write a good filler episode, but there's a reason that, like, so much of it is bad, right? It's because people's heart really is.
Yeah, they want to get to the hyper stuff, quote
Mhm.
unquote.
Yeah.
Actually, like I'm like on and off of comics. Like, to be honest, like I consider myself like whenever I guest star on the No Price podcast, I always consider myself the indie guy because I like the license. I like the Sonic comics, like the new IDW ones. I haven't gotten to the Archie stuff. I
Don't.
like. I heard mixed. I will eventually because hey, I've read all of One Piece. May as well, try something else. But another big, long, decade-long series that isn't nearly as good, but like IDW Sonic, and then also like I've been reading the Image quote unquote massive verse, like the Radiant Black and Rogue Sons. Those are actually pretty good. Very like they're like they're basically like well they're from the writers who have been doing Power Rangers comics.
Mm.
But I actually think it's like at times it like especially Radiant Black it just blows their Power Rangers works out of the water mainly because they could like they have freedom to like decide their own tone. And like I feel like that's a problem with Power Rangers because there's kind of a tone I expect. There's things I expect, and sometimes I feel like they don't like when they want to try some new things. It doesn't quite mesh. Which is funny because I finally read a Power Rangers comic after one of the arcs kind of shat the bed for me, and I actually liked it. In fact, not like he didn't. He was okay with it, but he wasn't like a big fan. So it's
Just remembering the time during Vac and I's YouTube show where I read
we
the
were doing that
Power
during
Rangers comic.
shattered grade. Oh my god.
Yeah. I read the fucking Power Rangers comic and I was like, hey, I actually really like this. And you like got up and yelled at your mom that I liked the new Power Rangers comic. So funny.
Okay, I need to find that bit and just clip it for future use.
It's a good
I've
one.
already made Vac floss on stream. Just I don't know why I did. I just felt like being mischievous that night.
It's just who I am. Where some nights, if a stupid idea pops into my head, I will go ahead and do it for the entertainment of others. I'm that
Good.
kind of guy.
Commitment to the bit is an admirable quality.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll be doing a bit with someone and they just will like abandon it and leave you dry and it's like, no.
I mean,
You
granted,
should have committed
sometimes
to the
Like
bit.
the time you told me to read a Gem and the Holograms comic live on air, and I was just like, no. Which is funny because since doing that show with you, I've now gone back and watched the old Gem animated series and actually really liked that.
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. Vac is like a big Gem fan now. I think because of B Mask.
Well, B-Mask made a very convincing video, and I was like, I'll give this a try for myself. And then I went and watched it, and it was very good for its time. Because
Yeah.
it's like it's a Hasbro Sunbow animated series from around the same time as Transformers and G.I. Joe's original runs.
Mm-hmm. Those fucking toy show commercials
Yeah.
were such a thing. Like fucking Transformers and He-Man and shit. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And it's funny because that stuff is like my bread and butter. I always say I'm a toy guy at my core,
Mhm.
but I also do have to acknowledge that it is incredibly soulless.
Yeah. Well, like the fucking thing that got me is recently I don't know why I wanted to do this, but I decided to watch the intro to the original He-Man cartoon and then to the 2002 reboot. And like I've never seen something be such like a self-aware we're not like your dad's He-Man fucking thing ever, because it's just like the fucking new one starts off the same where it's like, hi, I am Prince Adam. Once I was given the power of Grayskull and held aloft this mighty sword, and then it's just like all of a sudden the fucking background blows up and it turns into like an anime opening.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
We're talking about the CGI one? Like, there's two new ones.
No, the
The
2002 one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, because I thought when you said new one, because there's been two new He-Man cartoons.
Nah,
which
the
is weird.
2002 reboot that was
Yeah,
on when I was in like middle school or whatever.
yeah.
That one just like it is the most. We're not your dads, He-Man. I've
Okay, and
ever
actually,
seen.
like the 2000s were a lot of
I don't
like
know about that. The trailer for G.I. Joe Renegades literally had the line, "This ain't your mama's Cobra," in in that trailer.
yeah.
Fair enough. I don't know, man. It just hit me. It just fucking hit me in a place, and I was like, you know what? Respect. I like it when things are just excessively meta. Like I like to do that with moments in DVDC a lot, where we'll just get people who I don't know what it is. People in the comments will just get a bug up their butt about like really ultra specific things. And if it's something I don't actually have a plan for or whatever, I'll just like take it and use it, but do it in a way that's like really underwhelming to the people who wanted that. So like one of the things we got a lot was you should make Cell into a Mazo. You should do a Mazo as a Cell arc. Do a Mazo as the Cell arc because it's an android that uses the powers of the people around the main character or whatever. And I'm like, well, we're not gonna fucking do that because it's be a 1-to-1 and that would be boring. But you know what we will do? We were just sitting there like, we need a way to open this episode that's gonna get Goku out of it. It's like, hey, I'm really tired. There was this like evil doctor guy, and he made a bunch of androids, and one of them was his ultimate creation that had like all the powers of the Justice League. But it's okay. I teleported him away and he blew up, and now everything's fine. But I'm gonna go sleep. Bye! It's like, there you go. You had a Mazo Cell. I hope you're happy. I just like meta shit like that. It's really fun.
I
That's
mean, like I
kind
feel
of
like
amazing.
I like there's a certain level of it I'll accept. I feel like cynical meta is where I kind of draw some lines, especially like of the
Oh, I'm
recent.
sorry.
No, so it's fine. No,
That's
yours was not
100% me.
cynical. Yours
No,
was
that
not.
is. I'm very. I.
Well, like I'm talking about,
Oh,
like that was more of a cute not nug and whack. I'm talking about when they devote their entire episode or movie to like look at all this. We get it. We're internet savvy. I'm mostly talking about these like recent, your Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers garbage.
mm.
That's kind of the stuff I'm talking about. I could mention Space Jam 2, but that's a guilty pleasure for me because it has Don Cheadle. So just like that's the stamp of quality I need, and also I like the first one. There's also a bit of nostalgia there.
I didn't
Uh,
hate Space Jam 2. I thought that one
yeah,
got a little bit too much gruff from the internet. I'm
yeah,
like,
like it
guys,
got
it's Space
like
Jam 2. What did you expect?
yeah,
Um,
like it is cynical, but like I don't think it was as cynical as people were saying. Because like I will give them restraint for not having like Warner Brothers characters like at like I mean like at like basically they're basically just all mainly in the second act. They're not like every. I mean, yeah, they're watching the game, but like that's more of like a background thing. That's not really like part of part of the game. I mean, really, the only part they're in is like just a quick montage. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, I liked it. That and like, god damn it, they gave me an animated Wonder Woman that I want that art style for Space Jam Wonder Woman. I want that art style to just be an entire Wonder Woman animated series. I'm so
Yeah,
pissed Wonder Woman has not ever had an animated
yeah.
series.
I hope that Superman one is successful. Animated Superman one that they keep putting in production. That looks super good. Like
Mhm.
a very charming concept art they had on there. When they like I think it was during Fandom. I think they revealed it.
Mhm.
Well, yeah. I heard it's
Male white
still going in
Superman.
production despite all the
Mhm.
cancellations at over at WB. Apparently, the Batman one is still happening, just not on HBO Max, which is kind of like an
No,
average.
Very
HBO
confusing.
canceled it, but they're shopping it to Netflix.
Or like
Yeah,
yeah, and
it's
other
so fucking strange.
yeah, it's like bro, like, it's everyone wants it. Like I heard Apple TV and Amazon want it. I'm like, oh yeah, the most one of the most popular characters, and you won't put it on your service? Hmm. You
Yeah.
know.
I'm
This
also
decision
kind of
makes
shocked
no
that you can
fucking
shop
sense.
that stuff. Like, why aren't we doing that with Batgirl?
Yeah.
Like from what I've heard, the Batgirl thing and a couple of the other projects, like as sad as it was for Batgirl's movie to get canned, the fact that they fucking canned that Gotham Knights show, I'm so grateful for.
Nothing of value was lost.
Yeah. So like from what I hear, not only did they can Batgirl? Like, it will never be legally allowed to see the light of day unless someone like leaks it, and they've even taken measures against that by like deleting it from servers and stuff. Because Warner Brothers wrote it off for a tax break. So like
Yeah.
legally they can never release it apparently, which is just
Well,
like
can they
so-
legally never release it, or can they legally never sell it? Like,
I think they legally cannot like release it, that they have to treat it as just a full on loss. So like like
wow.
even if they put it like online, like it couldn't have ads or anything like that. They wouldn't be able to make a dime from it. Otherwise they'd have to pay back all of the money they got in a tax credit. That's I might be fuzzy on some of the details there, but that's the gist of what I've heard, and I'm just like, holy shit.
Legal
Yeah,
shit is wacky.
I saw some people theorizing the other day that, like, here's how they make Flashpoint profitable. You just say, buy a ticket to the Flash, you get a free download code for Batgirl.
It's fucking.
We've been going for like 2 hours now.
Oh,
Have
sorry.
Nah, we're good. This has been an
Yeah.
interesting conversation. I didn't exactly expect it to go this way, but I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed
Same.
getting to talk about some of the finer points about why things are a pain in the ass these days.
Yeah, yeah. I have no idea if this is like the killer vibe for your podcast, so
No,
I'm sorry if we completely derailed
No,
everything.
this is pretty much par for the course. You're good.
It
Okay.
can be. I mean, we literally have an episode called Suffering Together.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But no, thank you for coming on, Ian. Why don't you go ahead and plug your stuff one last time for anybody who might be interested in checking it out?
Yeah, so of course, my channel, if you're into just more podcasts to listen to, because Lord knows there aren't enough of those on the internet, is Sid Part 2, so you can go check that out. And just, we got an episode up every week, and we do reviews and discussions on just general weird ideas. So that's my main thing, but then my other big project that I'm involved in, as I've talked about a lot, is I do a lot of what if stories with my buddy Alfie on Geeks for Fun. I'm the co-writer for everything just about on that channel, including our premiere series, Dragon Ball DC, which we've talked about a number of times here. So if you're a Dragon Ball fan and a DC fan, or just one or the other, I recommend checking it out because we've been called the greatest what if story on YouTube. And frankly, I think that's a bit of an insult because we're better than that. Um, we're better than some DC comics, like Injustice. So you can go check that out. I've also done a couple other what if videos on there, and we did an if just Dragon Ball related content or what if related content isn't really your thing. We also did a fully voice acted audio drama for Batman on the Geeks for Fun channel called Echoes of the Night. I wrote one of the episodes for that, and was the basically producer, supervising producer, script editor, and stuff on all the other episodes. And we get some really, really cool ones. I did the Joker episode, if anyone's particularly curious. But I think my favorite episode is the one where Lady Shiva shows up. So highly recommend all of the stuff on the Geeks for Fun YouTube channel. And yeah, my channel's okay too, depending on what you're into.
All right, Buster, go ahead and shout out your channel.
Hey, I'm Buster Corp. I do mostly analysis stuff, though occasionally I'll post a funny shit post. There might maybe more stuff coming. We'll see. The last two videos I did, covering the April Fool's joke Power Rangers Energy Chasers in September because I felt like it, and also because it was Power Rangers Day. And I reviewed the most recent Kamen Rider show, Kamen Rider Revice. I had complicated feelings on it, but I think I liked it. Yeah, and like we also had Twitter at BusterBully3 if you want to see me. I don't know what I do on there. Variety of things, but yeah, go do the thing. Subscribe and stuff.
Nice. And I am the Vacuuminator. I make tokusatsu video essays, among other things. You find me at all the various places. I don't really want to plug them right now because, good God, am I going to need some tea after this episode. But please do me a favor and support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing, and of course, clicking the bell to enable notifications. And follow us on Twitter at the Modular Media and join the subreddit r/Modular Media. But folks, that's all for this week. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope to see you back here next week.